Come here, you mother... Oh, this is it, baby. Hold me.
What is up, Static Gamers? It is Nathaniel Ass 5496. As I predicted, the doomsday of Halo is supposedly here. Now, personally, I don't think this is going to be necessarily the end, but I will be honest, this is where the most uncertainty for our community will lie. So, I made a prediction that if Halo Infinite did not, at the very least, instill what we knew from Reach or we knew from Halo 3 as some form of standard, the game was going to fail. I think back to that day when Dr. Disrespect said that without a battle royale, Halo was going to fail, and I still firmly believe that the reason Halo failed was not because there was no battle royale. As a matter of fact, I feel like it was pretty torn among the community whether they wanted one or didn't want one. Personally, me, it didn't matter as long as it felt like it was an addition. But there are several reasons why I think Halo Infinite failed, and I'm going to spew out my honest opinions on it. If you haven't heard them before, then over the course of the videos, it's all going to be put in this one video, and then what I think is going to happen going forwards. So Joe Staten has left Halo, and a lot of people are giving up right at that premise, and honestly, I'm among those. I actually lean more to this is the end of Halo. If they cannot make the game that we desire, I'd rather them shelve Halo. I'm just going to be straight honest with that. I'd rather look back on Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach, and I even like Halo 4, ODST, Halo Wars 2, and just go, this was a fun time in my life. Not everything has to last my entire life. Would I appreciate it? Yes. You know, looking back on it now, especially when I think about Halo Reach and Bungie's last final goodbye mission to me, I thought about it one day, and it was enough to make me cry. I realized that that was the last time in my life I was going to have a developer that actually genuinely cared about me. They made the game to be fun and over profits, and I think because of that, they made profits. It became so insanely popular that that's why Bungie was even able to go do what they wanted to do with Destiny 2 and Destiny. And even though people have mixed feelings about that myself, I still think Destiny 2 is a phenomenal game. While it wasn't groundbreaking by any means, I'm just saying that as a developer, Bungie seems to care about their communities, and within the Destiny 2 community, they seem to care about their community. Hell, they got away from Activision when things were getting really bad, and I think that's the point that I'm taking about. They also left Xbox, and I feel like 343 was the exact reason Bungie left Xbox in terms of being under their contracts. They wanted to be a free bird. And I can understand why. Because if you have too much order, you lose creativity. If you have too much chaos, nobody's going to understand what you're producing. And you need to have in the middle of the mark. And Halo Infinite, in my personal opinion, is too far in the order. There are several things that make me not want to play the game. For me, the first and number one is the lack of playable elites. I'm going to mention that because I've always been a supporter of elites, but I'm not going to go any further in that. The second was theater mode was not fully functional at the beginning. The third was there was no co-op campaign. Promised split-screen local co-op up to 4 players was never delivered, so we were lied to. Then there was the fact that 343, while I don't think Halo 4 in itself was a mess up, was a distaste to the majority of the community, and instead of going to the next game going, okay, we'll do better, guys, they made even worse with Halo 5. And while they made us wait and eventually got it to a place where I think it was okay, suitable if it was a launch, then they went to Halo Infinite and pretty much fumbled it itself. So there's a saying in the game community where, or at least among developers, where they're saying it's what happens after the game is the most important for sales and revenues. And, I agree. But they're forgetting one fundamental and important part of game development that is also just as important as what happens after, and that is post and launch. And a lot of people, there's a saying, and this is a long saying. I don't know if I'm going to say this saying correctly. I'm going to botch this, I get pretty sure. But first impressions are everything. if you fuck up in the very beginning, and which Halo Infinite did, people are going to leave. Like, if you want to introduce change, you have to have something that's going to successfully replace. It's a gamble, and 343 constantly kept gambling, constantly kept trying to change the vision that people view of Halo. Another reason that I just don't want to stick with Halo Infinite is it's a rated THBR, and they enforce those rules among content creators. I don't like that. I don't think that's right. I think that removes freedom of express. An artistic form is to produce what you want, which means there are sexual things. Rule 34 community, I actually applaud you because you stand by your creative avenue. I can't tell you how many artists won't do that just to follow the rules. You guys fucking do that. I have to be fair here where credit is due. It's like, that's the one thing I think you guys get right about artistic values. That's why we call it a man of culture. Halo had its own form of culture, and 343 was salting to tear that down by the EHBR rating. For me, Halo has always been and will always will be a rated M game because the people who play it are generally mature, because Halo is a military shooter with military humor, military comedy, but underneath all of that, it's still a party game. That was the thing that I thoroughly enjoyed about previous Halos. Like, a Marine in Halo 2 would throw his grenade and go, "Oh, fuck, I threw my sandwich," and then start laughing and say, What, it's true. Or the elites in Halo 3, when you stare at them and they go, "If you stare at me any longer, you might as well exchange fluids." You don't hear comments like that anymore. Or Sergeant Johnson is a prime example of this too. Military beef up guy, like, come on. Like, they just can't do it anymore. And I feel like, that's actually one of the reasons I like Lasky, is because he's one of the few that actually felt kind of militaristic. And believe it or not, I liked Palmer because I needed a character to hate, and she was that character to hate. And I think it was okay for her to be a character to hate. And then they take that as we need to replace it. And then we got Sergeant Argyle, or whatever her frickin' name is in Halo Infinite. If she's supposed to be a drill instructor, she's an insult to me, an actual soldier. That's all I'm saying. Is like, they would never act like that around their recruits. That's just what I'm talking about. Those little tiny things right there make out why I don't like Infinite. Oh, not to mention the custom cores. The cores in itself wasn't the problem. It was just the lack of customization that was allowed. The fact that I had to pay to put on colors. And it was also kind of odd to me that, like, all the armors from previous Halo were the ones that we had to pay for, versus all the new armors they made, like the Rakshasa or the Tenrai armor sets. Those were completely free. Those were the ones I would have spent money on, not the other way around. That's the thing that mind boggles me, and this is, I think, is for me why I eventually dropped off Halo Infinite. Now, I still come back because I generally love Forge, and I generally love the work that I think it was Skybox and Creative Assembly was doing on. I think those were the ones that were working on Halo Infinite in terms of multiplayer, but they were held back by 343's misinterpretation of Halo for far too long. And I feel like if Microsoft did give this, and it sounds like that's what they're going to do, they're going to give Halo to a new studio if Halo continues on, if they don't decide to shelve it. And if they do that, I feel like either Skybox or Assembly, or I can't remember who the third company was, would let them run Halo going forwards. But the thing is, I'm not entirely sure that they are fully capable, but I was always down for Creative Assembly for taking over Halo, to be honest. I feel like they kind of understand, and in a way too, I feel like they're the ones that could achieve the rated T ESBR without feeling like I'm tied down too, because there are studios that have managed to do this with a video game. But I know it's just like saying Halo going from rated M to rated T is like saying Call of Duty is going to go from rated M to rated teen and you can't swear anymore. Like, it's not going to happen. It's just people are going to be so defiant, and then they're all just going to get banned, and then they're all just not going to play your game, which equal less profits. The thing about cultural stuff is that you have to be able to lean into them and accept them, and this includes all jurisdictions. And Halo, this usually refers to clan community, the Sangheili community, the Spartan community, the roleplay community, the casual community, the esports community, the PVEers, as I guess you'd call them, campaign players, the firefight players, Forge players, people who specifically only do Forge, because there are people out there like that. And just me listening off those, you can realize only a handful of those are actually catered to within Halo. And I think the biggest thing is that in terms of what Halo is, it doesn't really reach out to a broader audience. It feels like it's made for a specific person, place, or thing. And for me, it feels like I was left behind. I'm not gonna lie. It really feels like that. You know, even though, say, Halo 4 didn't have elites, like, for me, it's honestly not that big of a deal. But, like, with Halo 4, I didn't feel left behind. But it was Halo 5, that's where I felt left behind. Going forwards with Halo, if they're going to continue Halo, and it continues under a new studio, I am going to be even more cautious than I've ever been in my life. Halo for me was kind of more important because it's not just a game. I know for some people it is. So walking away with like Halo 4 was easy. But then there were those who were like, well, we'll see about Halo 5. Like, me. I stayed with Halo 5. I did break my disc and throw it away at first because I thought that's all it was going to be, but then I kept updating it and I eventually came back. That's that saying I was saying in the last video of my hashtag Fire343 video. Fool me once, shame on you. That was Halo 4. Fool me twice, shame on me. That was Halo 5. Fool me a third time, we're not having it. That's Halo 3. And I think that rule is pretty safe to say with companies. It does seem like Microsoft is doing something, thank fucking God, but I don't know if that's going to be in our benefit or not in a way that makes everyone happy. That's what I want, genuinely for Halo, is a way to make everyone happy. Because personally, in regards for Halo, as far as customization goes, I don't care if it's Spartans only or whether there's elites in multiplayer. For those who gripe about it, I don't really care. Like, honestly, I'm kind of that man in the middle, and because of that I get pushed on all sides. But all I want for a Halo is a campaign that I can play with my friends here in my apartment, and then Firefight, which I can do the same thing. I don't know what it is, either that or Spartan Ops to return. The thing is, with Halo Infinite, if they were truly going to do that live service thing with a story-based thing, Spartan Ops would have been the way to go, in my personal opinion. Having mini 10-15 minute missions for each seasonality that you could still go back and play if you really loved one would have been a really better idea. Kind of like they did with the Academy introduction when you went to the weapon drills. Just a short little camp thing that you would experience. If they had done that for the seasonalities, I think people would enjoy the story stuff a little more, and it would also get you to kind of understand, like, the other Spartans and why the Spartan cars are a thing, and why there's a canality, and what there's so many things that they could have done. Like, when I look at Halo Infinite and the envision that I think the people making the game had, I think I can see it and what it was supposed to be, and they just didn't hit that mark. And it's just because it's like my friend Jacob, I was just talking to him a moment ago, said it really came down to the leadership. And I think what is happening, this is the best for the Halo community. This is what is best for the Halo community. And all I'm going to say is that whether Halo stands or falls in this moment, never forget. Just never forget.